Hey, how's it going, everyone? Happy Tuesday.
Happy
Well,
Tuesday. That feels
Happy
like
Tuesday.
Monday.
it
Yeah.
does. It does. Yeah. Did you guys
Well,
have a good long weekend? For those of
oh
you,
yeah. It's the first day of school, right? That's what it feels like for me anyways. So,
You
yeah,
know
we're
me, I
back
was
at
just
it.
busy contributing labor on Labor Day. I worked through the weekend.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that
Yeah, yeah.
entrepreneur life. Well, welcome if you're watching us over on LinkedIn, YouTube. Drop us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We're excited to have you here, and we'll be taking questions and comments throughout. First, let's introduce ourselves. Hopefully, you're in the right place. This is the AI Upgrade for Sales Leaders. We're going to be talking today with our instructors that have led previously in the spring an amazing cohort of AI best practices and hacks, as well as just rethinking every part of the funnel in our new AI, focused world of tech stacks. And so here with me today, I'm co-founder half of the Upgrade AI with my colleague Chris Krug here. Chris and I met way back. We're both former journalists and found our way over into AI land through Google News Initiative. We connected because we were both launching startups related to AI upskilling and training. And Chris, how you doing this morning? Tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm doing great, man. I was up at 7 a.m. here on the West Coast leading an AI upgrade training for AMD, the big chip company. We had like 75 people in there, and we were showing them some advanced prompting techniques, and we built some basic 5-minute assistants that we're going to iterate on and stuff. So I'm firing on all cylinders here this morning. As Peter said, I'm Chris Krug. I started Future Proof Creatives, and Peter and I merged our companies together last year into the Upgrade. We've now got like 5 different 6-week certification programs we run, including this sales upgrade with Claudia and Shane here. So I'll throw over to you, Claudia.
Good morning, or mid morning if you're late, if you're in another spot. Yeah, happy Sales AI Day. So I met Shane at the Sales Academy years ago when I was working at the BDC, which is Crown Corp here in Canada, if you're from the US. And I'm a bit of a freak because I'm I qualify as being a senior for sure in some areas, but I'm definitely an early adopter. And what I love about working with AI and the Sales Academy is I get to like use these really tried and tested sales modalities and like put these processes that have been, used with tons and tons of sales professionals. But the cool thing and what I really love about 2025 is how to integrate that with AI and really speed it up. And for me, my heart's always been in sales training, sales management, is just showing teams how to speed up what they're doing and sort of get rid of some of the noise so that they can focus on the person in front of them, right?
Yeah. Claudia, your enthusiasm is totally contagious, and she's become very well known for her AI phone hacks. So uses a lot through ChatGPT and has developed a lot of just kind of cool techniques and tricks based on Shane's methodologies to use through ChatGPT on her phone. So Shane, throw to you.
Great. I'm Shane Gibson, founder of the Professional Sales Academy. I'm a keynote speaker and author. I've been in the sales game for 20 plus years from a sales growth and sales training perspective. My first keynote on AI for sales, I delivered in 2018. And the only people that showed up were programmers, no salespeople. So I was a bit early. And it wasn't until the advent of ChatGPT really launching where there became a real mainstream interest in something that I was really passionate about. And so, like Claudia said, we really work daily on helping sales organizations map proven sales processes to help them succeed. But then we look at how do we intelligently automate, but also augment. And most people miss that, is augmenting your sales team with AI is way different than automating. And we'll talk a little bit about that, in the course, but that's what I'm excited. It's a partnership. Chris calls it your second brain. And you can build that, and it becomes your co-pilot in your sales success. And that's what I'm excited about.
I've seen Shane's building a sales Iron Man suit with AI keynote a couple times, and if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's transformational.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Right on. Well, I want to welcome those in the chat who are letting us know where they're tuning in from. Welcome Lamar from Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome Darren from Ottawa. Yeah, it's afternoon over there. Armin, great to see you as well. Armin was at the Vancouver AI Community Meetup that Chris Krug hosts. And it's great to see you here. Some familiar faces in the chat. Feel free to let us know, your questions too. We're happy to, take a little detour and make sure that you get your, questions answered. Curious, what tools are you using as well? If you're watching and listening right now, let us know what type of, AI tools you're playing with, what part of the funnel, right? That would also be really interesting to learn from and share as a group here. Fatima, great to see you. Annabelle, wonderful. Yeah, folks from Vancouver, again, tuning in, as well as Kieran O'Connor from the UK. Wonderful to have you here. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over in just a moment to my colleague here, Shane, who's going to take us through a bit of a use case that I think many of us will find helpful and time-saving. East Van in the house as well. Awesome. Yeah. All over the place, multiple continents, which is great. But Shane, feel free to take it over.
One of the things I think to look at, and I think there's going to be a little blip as I jump onto screen sharing in a second, but I wanted to kind of start off with one of the things that I see before we get into all of these incredible sales tech stacks and multi-step automations is there's a lot of sales leaders and sales professionals that have great tools out of the box, but they don't really have this sort of power prompting for sales pros nailed down, where how do I get the most out of these tools even before I customize them? And so, one of them is Perplexity. So it is lesser known. It's well known broadly. With that said, though, I'm amazed when I go into sales teams how few people know, and sales leaders, how people really know what Perplexity does, right? It was built as an AI search and research tool primarily. So it's got a little bit of a different intent, although it also accesses all the major models to help you. And so one of the things we look at is what can these tools do for you quickly and affordably in a short period of time. So one of them is I've been experimenting with pre-call prep. So let's say you get a lead here, and let me just share my screen, entire screen, this one here. And can everybody see my screen? Please, someone say yes.
Not yet. Here we go.
All right, great, fantastic. So this is Perplexity.
It's not quite there yet. It's loading up. One moment.
It's loading.
That's a slow load.
It is.
Yeah, loaded real. There it is. Right
there we go.
We
gotcha.
All right, perfect. So this is Perplexity. Essentially, I've preloaded this prompt, so you don't have to wait for it to spit out the answer. But essentially what I've done in Perplexity here is I've pretended that I run and I own a cybersecurity company based in Windsor, Ontario. And I've created my ideal client profile already and provided it as a publicly accessible Google Doc link for the tool to access. And I've said, hey, I've got this prospect called Windsor Fulfillment, which is a real company I use for this exercise. And I'd like you to do the following 3-step task. And I've told it, determine if they're an A prospect, which is that 20%er that gives me 80% of my business, my true ICP. Then identify our ideal client profile. Identify top 10 challenges and top 10 opportunities that they would have based upon 2024 or newer data that my company, services, insights, software, and knowledge could help them with. And then also write me 8 great questions I could ask this prospect before we have our discovery call, right? So think about what I've asked this to do and how long this takes without AI for the average salesperson to prep a call. I'm going to say that it's going to take you at least 20 minutes of research and another 5-10 minutes to think about what questions you're going to be asking them strategically based upon their company. But what this does immediately is it spits out a profile of the company. It qualifies them based upon your criteria of an ideal client. It lists their top 10 challenges, typically in the context of their industry and your solutions. And then it gives me 10 opportunities for that organization if they leverage your services. And then finally, it gives me the questions that I can ask them to get them talking about those challenges and the types of solutions I can help them with. And then as a bonus, because I liked this prospect so much, I said, hey, could you find me a list of 30 other companies that are similar to this in the Windsor area Doesn't have to be the same industry, just similar risk profile and opportunity profile. And it spits out an incredible list of companies here that I can go after. Now I can upload that into a data enrichment tool like ZoomInfo or one of those other tools where it can now find the decision maker. It can find their email, their phone number, the whole 9 yards. And now I've got this really well-built list based upon an ICP. And this exercise takes minutes instead of hours. So imagine that your competitors are doing this, and you, on the other hand, and let me stop my sharing, and your team, are we there? Can you guys see me? Oh, there we go. We came back. So imagine if your sales team is doing this manually, so they're doing everything right, and they're doing discovery calls, but for every 35, 40-minute discovery calls, they're spending 25 minutes, because they should, with a really good opportunity, preparing. And your competitors doing exactly the same thing, same skills, similar products, but their people only need to spend 5 minutes to get the same result.
Yeah.
That's like them hiring an extra salesperson.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
And let me just ask you a question, because I get this with sales teams I work with all the time. They're like, yeah, I did that on ChatGPT. And I'd love a sound bite from you, Shane, about the difference between doing this same prompt on Chat or on Gem and doing it on Perplexity, because I found a way different result, way better result in Perplexity.
I think you got to use the right tool for the right task. And ChatGPT's deep research, I find, has a larger propensity to hallucinate than Perplexity. Perplexity really is research first. It gives you all its sources. When you go, and I find that if Perplexity gives you 10 sources, one of them is going to be iffy, realistically. But ChatGPT, 6 of them will be, or 4 of them will be, depending upon the search. So if you're looking for accuracy in like prescribing and finding true root cause issues for prospects and just identifying their hot buttons and tuning your value proposition to really meet the needs of that company, I trust Perplexity to do that. Now, if I was going to write a blog post about that company, I would use ChatGPT or Claude.
Yeah,
because they're built better for writing. Chris, you had a thought about that.
I was just going to say, I dropped this on the comments there as well, but I've got a little twist on the Perplexity thing that you just showed us there. I like to take that output that you just showed us, and I bring it over into Notebook LM, and I throw together a real quick podcast. I don't even barely prompt it. I'm like, write me a short briefing guide, and I can sometimes listen to it twice. I can start prepping like a half hour before the call. I can do my Perplexity search, take the out, put it into Notebook LM, have it do its thing, and listen to that podcast 2 times before the call. And man, it's like the Matrix, where you just like download the knowledge right into your brain the moment before you need it, in depth, and like it's pretty amazing.
Chris, I shared your strategy with a group of B2B sales leaders in in heavy industry back east here recently. It blew their mind, because I said, your team's on the road, they don't have time to do research. Imagine if on a Sunday they knew the 10 accounts they were visiting, and they created, because they're driving the miles, they created a podcast series of all their key accounts they listened to driving in their car, and what questions they should ask, and how their organization helps them specifically. And it's all the Notebook LM is built. It's amazing, right? I
realized how effective this was like 3 or 4 months ago. I got a call from CBC. It was when Geoffrey Hinton won the Nobel Prize in AI for his work at University of Toronto. And like, I know a lot about AI. I'm a generalist, but I can't talk to the specific technological breakthroughs of neural networks or back propagation that Geoffrey Hinton was being recognized for. So I did this process that you showed me. I grabbed a Perplexity output, ran it through Notebook LM, popped my earbuds in, and hopped the bus to downtown studio at CBC. And by the time I got there, I could very articulately speak, at least for 5 minutes on the radio, about Geoffrey Hinton's technological breakthroughs and back propagation as it related to the Nobel Prize. And I was like, okay, this is a golden technique.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it gets even better than that, right? With Notebook LM, because you can take these amazing, PDF or markdown, copied and pasted research reports and results, put them into Notebook LM, create a podcast, then interact with it too, right? So you can have a live conversation and basically simulate the exact sales convo, right? And you can use some, advanced prompt to basically generate that podcast to simulate a prospective sales call or a prospective media interview, as Chris was talking about. And so it's wild what's possible.
If you haven't played with the feature that Peter's talking about, it's this new like call-in feature on those Notebook LM podcasts where like you press the button and the hosts are like, oh, look at this, we've got a caller. And then you can be like, hey, this is great, but let's role play this back and forth a little bit. And they'll actually like break whatever they were saying before and start, on the fly live generating the conversation you're asking them to. And then when they're done, return back to the regular podcast, and it's nuts. And then the other feature that if you haven't logged in a month, the Notebook LM, they drop these like video, audio, PowerPoint style presentations that,
those are great.
While they're kind of generic on one hand, they're really good explainers. Like I just ran a hackathon and some of the people ran their long, 20-page project documentation through Notebook LM video explainers. And so then I would get just a little 5-minute, 8-slide video, and it could totally absorb their project in a very short period of time.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal what's possible. Claudia, I'll toss to you in 1 minute. I just want to remind folks joining us live, because I know there's a lot of you out there. What tools are you using and playing around with these days? And it's okay to say ChatGPT. That is in many ways the Swiss Army knife, right? And it's really kind of how you're using them, right? That we really focus on in our course and that we're talking about today, in a strategic way as part of your sales funnel. And we're really stoked to, have so many people joining us here. But don't be shy. Let us know if you have any questions as well. I see Abdul says, are there self-promotional comments? Feel free, if it's relevant to this conversation, pop it in the chat. Yeah. We'll also be sharing the links to all the different tools that we are mentioning into the chat as well afterwards. And we will send the recording out to those who've RSVP'd. So, I think you might be muted, Chris. 1 minute.
Yeah, you got it. I just wanted to speak to Abdul's comment for a sec. We're really building like an AI upgrade community, and there's lots of different people who are part of that. And you're welcome to, as Peter said, if it's relevant and useful, valuable to people, share that here. There's a ton of ways to learn about AI. You can get free downloads of videos on YouTube, or you can go off and go to the website, there's an AIforthat.com, and search through the thousands of amazing AI sales tools that are available. And really what we're trying to do here is provide for 20 people or 30 people at a time, like a cohort-based, a capstone project-based, where you pick something that you want to do in your job and we build your tools kind of according to that. So I think that there's a lot of different ways people want to learn and a lot of different things people have to offer. And that's all a part of what we want to, highlight in this community. So yeah, go for it.
Awesome. Yeah. Armin, thanks for letting us know, what you're playing with these days, Copilot GPT-5. That makes sense. Go ahead, Shane.
You had a comment.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think what I find interesting for sales managers, most especially, is that some of the reps might be actually more caught up on some of these tools. And so there's a little bit of hesitancy because they are not caught up. And I've been working with sales managers over and over again saying, your job is to do all these things, but also, learn from your team, exploit the tribal knowledge and share. And the people that I know that are using some kind of, what we're doing in AI in their, weekly or monthly meetings. But really, if you're a sales manager, you got to get boned up. You got to figure out what's going on. To have, an inkling of some of them, or just 1 or 2 little hacks to be with your team and get them excited, rather than, not having enough time. That's what I'm seeing the trend is right now in sales leadership, carving out some time to be an expert as much as you can in AI, especially in just the tools that you're housed in, whether it's a Microsoft environment versus, a ChatGPT environment or a Google environment.
Right. There was an interesting LinkedIn survey that just was published last week that said, roughly half of workers feel that it's a second job to learn AI, right? And that's daunting, right? And that's, quite, I think, the norm, right? In terms of the expectations to be reevaluating your workflows. And, but it doesn't have to be, such a
Arduous.
boring, It could
And that's
be
why I
fun.
think,
Let me just say that it could be amazing if you really take a step back and have, curious mindset and experiment with the right attitude. It could make your job awesome and better, right? Than it's ever been. Easier, more, efficient, more productive. And that's what we're here to try to help with. Shane, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say it reminds me of CRM adoption, right? Customer relations management software.
Mhm.
And how many of them are absolute failures? Because even the CRM companies, themselves, and I've worked with many, and I've got tons of respect for them, but they're so product focused about like, you have to use the CRM. It's like you have to use ChatGPT. Well, then if you have to use the CRM, then what it ends up being is the sales team doing data entry so that the marketing team and the chief sales officer can create dashboards. And it's not there to enable them to make their sales process better, more efficient, because they didn't start with what is the sales process, what is the buyer's journey, and how does this CRM help a salesperson and a buyer move through this together with less friction. So let's take this and apply AI to it, whether it's a sales job or it's an HR role or it's a marketing job, and go, what are our sales or marketing processes? What can be automated? What could be augmented by AI? Because if it's automated by AI, it saves me human time. I can be more creative. I can do other high level stuff. And if it's augmented, it actually makes me smarter, so I can do my job better. All of a sudden, I can have gains, right? I'm saving time. I'm getting better results. My A/B testing of ads takes a day instead of 3 weeks. My marketing spend's better. So all of these things, if it becomes process first. And so I think this is why most of them are like, oh, this seems like a job. You know why? Because upper management's like, we need to do this AI thing. And so, Chris, you now have a Perplexity account. You do the Perplexity, and as the guy writes in his handwritten notebook, not Notion, because the senior management's disconnected as well. So anyways, I don't know if you noticed, I'm a little passionate about this topic, but
strong opinions, but on point. This is definitely the top down sort of, drudgery pushing down the chain, type of mentality that we really try to flip the script on. Yeah. And, it's definitely the case that there's varying levels of AI literacy. I want to get back to what you said, Shane, about, thinking about how we can have a process first mindset, though. And maybe we can talk a little bit about how you've optimized some of your own funnel on the marketing side, right? Because content marketing is very much part of the sales funnel these days. And I know you've got some great, automations that have helped you.
Oh, Shane's a master, man. If he gives one keynote, he's got a month and a half's worth of awesome multi-channel content pumping out there. He's a master of this.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to have people find me in Napa Valley and Boston. I've been invited to the Dominican Republic. This is like all in November, actually. And all that comes from this micro content or content atomization strategy. And it's all driven by AI. And essentially, I couldn't do it without AI because I'd be having to pay an agency who'd have 3 or 4 staff do it for me. It would cost me $10,000 or more a month. And that's not
like it did 5 years ago when you used to have to do it that way.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden now I can create 30 hours of marketing work in about 5 hours, right? I still have to do the work as a human, but it's about 5-hour activity to set that content up for a whole month. So I'll give kind of a high level. In the workshop, we spend a whole module on content development for sales professionals, sales leaders, sales organizations. But, a quick look under the hood, maybe with a couple of the tools we use. And yeah, so
demo.
So I'm going to throw a stat while you're finding that in. It's like if you use as just a sales professional, not a sales manager, but just a sales professional, if you're social selling, your close ratio improves by a 15% if you're posting minimum weekly. And like, that's a hard stat. I did a LinkedIn post about it, I don't know, a week ago, but because people are like, oh, I don't want to do content. I'm just a salesperson. And I'm like, yeah, okay. It's a long game. Just wait. To grow your community online. So I find it super easy because I always found it painful too. With this process, even as I'm teaching individual salespeople to become thought leaders.
Yeah, I've seen Shane turn people's like cold calling lists into thought leadership inbound demand for them in 6 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, and it's. I think it's. Hey, so Peter, do you have to approve my screen share? There we
Are
go.
we ready? Can we handle the screen share?
Ooh,
Wow.
Here we go.
window.
So I'm using a tool which I'm still probably pronouncing wrong. It's QUSO.ai, QSO.ai. I think that's what it's called. And essentially what I do is I upload a 1 hour keynote I've done, or you could just talk to a camera for 20 minutes on your opinion on whatever. And you drop this in, and then it actually watches your videos for you. It rates them by potential virality based on keywords in your industry and the content and the conversation patterns. And these are ready. So this created.
So before it rates them, it finds the thematic content and groups it together. So Shane's got one great point about sales Ironman suits with AI. It's gonna like grab that, give it a title, excerpt just that part of the transcript, and then score it highly because it's like, yo, this has mainstream pop appeal and could go viral.
Absolutely. So I'm able to export this video, or take this video. I used to spend maybe $800 a video, where I'd sit down and also spend an hour and a half watching my own video, to figure out what points they have to edit it. Then I would send it to the editor. The guy would create it. Then I'd pay another person to caption it.
Yeah.
And then I would painfully upload them. And
then you got one video.
And
yeah, that's right.
And it would take a month from keynote to on the internet. Now, the day after my keynote, that stuff starts punching out. So it goes 14 pieces of clips across 4 platforms I'm on. Plus, I use AI to take the captions and rewrite them into really great keyword optimized descriptions. So in essence, I've got all my social posts now for over a month.
And that, sir, is why you're flying 4 places in November to give these big talks. It literally probably is the taking these outputs, and then instead of just taking the standard fare AI bullshit, you're running it through your own. You know what keywords matter to you. Where you're getting your traction. So changing these to be optimized for what you're up to is the genius part in there.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And that's and I know you're doing the same thing with your tools, and it's powerful to not just hit the automate button, but actually personalize this perspective. So one of the things we teach in the course is how to build custom AI assistants. They used to be, within ChatGPT, it's called a custom GPT. Within Gemini, it's a gem. There's different names and different platforms. But essentially what I did is I trained the AI based upon a writing style guide and a whole bunch of content I've already written on how to write like me. And then I gave it specific directions on how to write a great blog post and what a great LinkedIn post looks like. And then I just dropped a transcript from that keynote in it. Something like this, which is literally like a 1 hour transcript with a 100-word prompt, which I use over and over again. But I've trained this assistant to write like me. And what it spits out in about 5 minutes is, of course, a podcast summary, because I'm going to turn this into an audio podcast as well. Then it writes me a blog post from my other website on a different topic that's covered in that particular keynote. And then it writes me, and I'll keep scrolling, 2 LinkedIn posts, plus a 12-slide carousel text that I can turn into a nice visual carousel for LinkedIn. So this is really now content on multiple platforms, deep and bite-sized pieces of micro content.
And it's your original ideas coming out of the keynote to begin with, remixed with your writing guide, style guide, worldview and perspectives document, glossary.txt, anti-glossary, all these things that make it like, yeah, sure, the AI is like stringing some stuff together, doing some synthesis and analysis, but it's your spoken thoughts out of your head and heart mixed with your guides and parameters and guardrails.
And that, to Chris, it's domain expertise and frameworks plus AI give you the edge. And that's what the course is about. It's about domain expertise in selling, developing your frameworks, building these tools so that they actually do the processes specifically for you and your business. They're not, how do I make this generic AI tool, like squeeze my business into it? Claudia, I saw you had a thought there.
Yeah. I just, one of the hacks is I'm not I speak maybe 4 or 5 times a year. But what I've been doing is I've been having conversations with you, Shane, with you, Peter, with other partners I have, and I've been just recording the Zooms like this and then using that. So if you are not, or sometimes I just talk to myself on video about something, and you know, I sometimes wear a mic and then it turns it into content. The other great hack is just having you know, anyone, like I said, in your life, have a conversation with you about, and give them a couple questions to ask, and your thought leadership will like go through the roof. And it doesn't have to be a speaking engagement. It's great if you can, if you're in that area, but you know, you've got a lot you can share about. For me, it's hacks and tips.
Yeah.
You know, sales management hacks, but everybody's got something within their own business that they can talk about. For
I kind of want to yes and that a little bit too, Claudia. I've been feeling lately like, so I show up to a meeting and there's like literally 20 people's meeting AI bots there or whatever. And for the most part, I'm only seeing people send out the automated follow-ups afterwards or whatever. And even sometimes not that. But everyone is creating these huge archives of domain knowledge. Like every time you pitch your company on a call to a prospective customer, that can be turned into next month's social media content about what your company's all about. Anyway, you know, it's like every time we give our pitch verbally, that's another chance to record it, transcribe it, and turn it into awesome content.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, hey, back to Notebook LM, which for those people who are joining us now and didn't hear the earlier conversation, it's one of the use cases for it is a tool you can add text documents to and even link off to YouTube and you name it. And it'll take that and create an audio podcast with 2 AI voices that you can interact with as well. And one of the things I've seen a sales leader do is recently, as much what you just talked about, Chris, is this sales leader took the top sales calls that month of each of their 10 salespeople and dropped those individual sales calls into Notebook LM and then sent out it as a digest to the team. And asked it to surface the top questions they were asking. And it gave them literally like a 20-minute podcast and the best questions the team is asking customers that month.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
Unbelievable, right?
So I got another little demo I want to set up here. This one's going to be by Peter. So last time we talked to this AI upgrade for sales leaders with Shane, we had a CEO in there from Colorado who was in the impact investing kind of space. And he took Shane's content waterfall methodology and applied it to his LinkedIn. He started processing cool transcripts and doing stuff and loading this up in his own voice. It sounded just like him on his LinkedIn. And he blew up his LinkedIn during the course. Like each week by week, he's coming back and he's like, I had 13,000 shares of this thing and it completely changed my whole inbound funnel. And then the next week he'd come back and he's like, I realized I should do a follow-up to that one. That one is 18,000 shares or something like that. And so Peter, a couple of weeks ago, while he's not quite hitting those numbers yet, he's blown up his own LinkedIn using Shane's students' waterfall derivative methodology. So you want to talk a little bit about your experiments this week with LinkedIn content?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was blown away by how our student, the one that you mentioned, you know, was getting this like insane reach on LinkedIn using the exact method that Shane kind of just previewed in his demo. And I was like, well, I'm an idiot. We're teaching this stuff. I'm not even using it yet. I better go, you know, practice what I preach here and learn from my buddy Shane. And here are my stats just from the last week or so. Let me know. Can you guys see my screen over here?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is just in the last week, right? I've gotten 150,000 impressions, nearly 1,000% growth. In, you know, typically I have one post every week now, you know, that typically blows up to over 100K impressions, right? And you know, I'm talking about what I always talk about here: AI ethics, you know, AI industry trends, advances.
I mean, those top 2 are pretty crazy, dude. Like, especially that top one, like 200 comments, 130,000. Will you just dial your date range back 1 second? Like that's the last 7 days, but I know this is relatively new. So I just wanted to, just at the top there was you have it set to 7 days, but go to like 28 or 90 or something.
Yeah. I started it really just a month or less ago. So here we go. So you can see like you have, this is roughly when I started it, honestly.
And dial it back one more time, please.
Yeah, so let's go
No,
back
yeah.
to 90 days, right? It's going to be just crickets before then, right?
There we go. That's what we're talking about.
Right. And so this is kind of, really since here that I've started using this, I guess somewhere around here. And it's been
Amazing.
really exciting to see, yeah, how, my thoughts are getting out in the world.
6,000% increase over the previous 90 days.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot more LinkedIn profile views, as well as, my sort of stature as a thought leader is slowly, well, quickly growing here. But I think I'm really just at the beginning of this. And,
Yeah.
the posts, if you look at them, and the ones that are, yeah, really trending here, a lot of them involve, the use of AI, where we're in this sort of bumpy space where people are trying to figure out how the heck to use it. And it touches, sort of a lightning rods one way or another, right? In this
Right.
case, it was Will Smith.
So I think, to continue to apply Shane's methodology over the next little while, we should continue now to think of this as the top end of the funnel, and we should optimize the rest of the funnel, because now you're getting tons of traffic and interest. And like I noticed there on the top of your profile, it says visit my website. I was looking at this other guy's stuff that was blowing up last night, and right there it said view my newsletter, or it could say come take my course. And really trying to figure out how to like optimize the rest of your profile to continue to drive people towards lead magnets, qualify those leads, send them offers.
You could go right to book a call. I heard an interesting
book an assessment, right?
Yeah, I took a course.
Yep. So, there's tons
take
of
an
ways.
assessment, take a demo. I took a course just yesterday, actually, with Matt Astafan with Internet Masterminds. And we talked about, one of the people in the course had a really interesting funnel hack, which this is not an AI hack, but it's cool, is they make it really easy to book an appointment. And then they do quick research and follow up with each prospect using AI automations. And then they either unbook them or they move them up in the calendar. And the conversion rates have been huge. So you combine book a call now on your LinkedIn with this traffic, with a little AI automation to qualify the prospects using something like I did with Perplexity, ABC rating, and away you go. Right now, you've got this like instant funnel built. That's a two-step, right?
Totally. I just set up a little automation like that as well for people that sign up for my newsletter. When someone signs up for my newsletter, it takes their name and email and does a quick search on who that person is, and then sends me their name, company name, contact, other socials and stuff like that on my Slack channel. So it's like all day long, people are subscribing to my newsletter, but sometimes that person matters a lot to me, and I want to know and thank them and go say what's up and send. So I instead of just getting their email now, I get quite the little dossier on everyone.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
that's awesome. I just want to talk really briefly about, kind of how this is working, how I'm using AI for this, right? Because I know there's folks wondering, how the heck are you doing that? So as Shane mentioned, I have set up sort of a worldview guide, right? We all can go to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever out of the box, pop in a news article and, say, hey, generate a LinkedIn post. But I think what's really worked and kind of the differentiator, right, is actually, as Shane mentioned, having a really good corpus of documents, right, that are also part of this context that gets fed to the AI about my core values, right, my perspective and voice, what I care about, right, what my different sort of viewpoints are in various things here, my approach to sales, teaching, etc., as well as my brand voice, right? And so, and these, by the way, these documents I created from dozens of hours of transcripts from our classes, right, and from our calls with clients and customers. And so this is something that we help coach and help people build as well. And you can use these for all different parts of that content waterfall approach, so to speak. But anyway, I'm going to remove my screen share for right now and just ask, are there any questions for those watching here? I see Maureen here. I'm going to put your comment on screen. Thanks for sharing, by the way. Highly recommend. I created a custom GPT for my clients as well. It's been a great way to reach them more efficiently. Yeah, that's phenomenal, Maureen. Thanks for sharing. We're certainly not the first ones to invent this, but it's definitely been fun to continue to experiment. I now have a cloud project version of this. I've now, popped this over into Gemini and created a gem, and they all have slightly different, tones and outcomes, right? And in some ways they work better or worse, right, depending on your perspective. But
I've got a project in GPT set up for each one of my clients. And just this week they dropped, or maybe it was last week, they dropped project-based memory for chat. So before you, in part of the personalization options, if you were chatting with GPT, sometimes it would grab relevant stuff and add it to its memories about you so that it knew information as it started to talk to you. But, you know, as we context switch between different roles or clients or projects, sometimes those memories are less relevant in some places than others. So now it has the ability to turn on project-based memory while you're chatting inside a client or project-based directory with an AI. It'll excerpt things automatically from that chat and add them to project-based memory. So that, I love it when time that I've invested in these tools, like in the setups of projects or assistants, gets like algorithmically, you know, just rocket ship growth of capabilities. They add one little new feature like project-based memories and all my tools immediately get better.
Yeah. We have a great question here from Alireza, who we have not paid to ask this, but what could we expect to walk away at the end of the course for yourself? Is it going to be hands-on? What materials will you share? So this is, you know, a great segue into what we were planning to cover as well, which is, you know, the course itself, what we covered in detail. So let me just screen share real quick, and all of us taught it last time together here, so I will also ask you to chime in. But, you know, in a nutshell, it's a 6-week Zoom-based course with cohorts of colleagues who are also sales leaders, sales reps, entrepreneurs, founders, business dev, partnership manager reps. We've had people come from all different sectors and industries, which has been fun. It's a cohort where people learn from one another as well. We have really strong, you know, profiles signed up already. We do have some spots left, and right now, you know, we're really, I think, all trying to update the materials, which we do between all of our courses, as all these tools change every single day, right? And so you can expect to leave with, this Chris mentioned, you know, a series of AI assistants or workflow enhancements for real life, you know, improvements and upgrades to your sales funnel, right? And it could be AI, you know, coaching bots for your team, right? Or an assistant. We have sales ops people who come through occasionally as well, which can be a great fit for our course. And we've had students, we have a few, that we can actually show some testimonials from and what they've been working on, right? But
well, I remember a couple of the most powerful ones off the top of my head. So it's capstone based is what Peter's saying. So we ask you to pick a project that'll impact your work near the beginning. And then we do each week by week progressive learning towards your capstone project. So like, I remember that one guy's internal sales tool that would monitor a Gmail box for inbound stuff. It had a knowledge base underneath. So it would figure out what they were trying to say. It would run it against the company's docs. It would prepare a draft and drop it off in dude's Gmail. And then it would ping him on Slack and say, there's a draft awaiting your approval. He would go and send, and then that would trigger the last stage of the automation, which would then write the email that he had sent to that person back into the knowledge base, so that if someone had those same questions again in the future, it was just already kind of developed there and stuff. And so, yeah, it's hands-on. There's lots of exercises. You build something along the way, and then no one's mentioned coaching yet.
That's right.
Yeah. So each one of, go ahead. Sorry, Peter.
No, you take it away.
I was going to say, you have the opportunity. We all make ourselves available. Most students take advantage of all of us. I'd strongly suggest to do that. Is you get a one-on-one coaching session with each of us that you get to book throughout the program. And so we all have different areas of expertise and different perspectives. Chris and I will solve the same problem differently. So that's a great thing. You get, multiple options, for instance. And so that coaching, it's not, you're working in the class, you're building the tools, but also you get that hands-on help as well, which goes a long way. And
it's actually my favorite part of the whole thing is that I get to dig in on everybody's project a little bit, and take all this kind of vast morass of knowledge and tools and techniques and apply them to kind of everybody's specific use case.
Yeah, exactly. And so the way that the 6 sessions are laid out here really all culminates in this capstone. And so across the different modules that we cover with the resources we provide, including some mini, optional homework assignments to basically build and tinker with some of our templates that we provide to students each class. as well as with those one-on-one consulting, personal coaching sessions, people develop some amazing things. Sometimes they go really deep, as Chris mentioned, right, into one type of tool and build it into a really complex, robust thing. Other times, it can be really focused on their, workplace tools they already have access to, but creating really good, variety of different parts of that sales funnel, assistance, right, to help them, automations, agents, right. And so the 6 class is my personal favorite, right? Every course we do, because it's a show and tell where everyone shares what they've been playing with, what they've learned, their key takeaways, what they've actually built and shared with their team, and in many cases still use months after and feel like they have not only a good foundation of knowledge, but real tools that they can then continue to iterate upon and expand their fleet of assistant agents.
Also, we live in the day and age of vibe coding being a serious thing, and so like the level of the projects that people are able to build in 6 weeks just keeps getting more and more like shocking, frankly, because you can take these assistants you're building or these methodologies and you can vibe code up whole websites around them, and that'll be a part of what we talk, or apps, and stuff. It's the capabilities available to non-technical people are astronomical these days, and that's a part of what we're going to be tinkering with as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we have our fall cohort that is kicking off here next week. We'd love to see you there. We'll take some more questions here, and we can dig into some of the individual modules. We have, sort of as Shane mentioned earlier, like a really good blend of frameworks for sales, right? And proven best practices, as well as the AI native approach to each part of the funnel, right? And so the way that the sessions are laid out is really focused on, moving through different parts of the sales funnel and thinking about what would an AI first approach be, right? That's not to say, we encourage people to automate everything, right? We always want to make sure people are asking critically, is this worth automating, right? Is this the most high impact ROI, way to accelerate my sales outcomes, right? Whatever your KPIs are. But we talk about a lot of different types of tools and use cases here. We also have a 30% off discount for those who are watching this right now that I'm going to share on screen here in just a second. But we'd love to take more questions and comments about the course itself, if you have any.
I wanted to add a thought here on, it's called AI Upgrade for Sales Leaders. So the intent is a sales leader, VP of sales, director of sales, sales manager, or if you're a solopreneur or the founder of a tech company and you don't have a sales team yet, you're the sales team. So this is really important for you. It's like, how do I do all these jobs? And then lastly is, or a highly empowered, self-empowered, or empowered by organization sales professional. So you're not a manager, but you're a sales pro that is looking for ways to succeed and proactive about your personal growth. And I think this course is for you. So it really addresses, and because of all of our experiences, like Claudia spends a lot of time with sales leaders, helping them build tools to make them better coaches and create more leadership time. I spend a lot of time on the front line working with sales leaders, but tools to help their sales people do that stuff. And Peter and Chris have some incredible insights, especially when it comes to someone who doesn't fit exactly in those two categories, where it's a founder.
Yeah, I'm a sales entrepreneur. I've always been at the tip of the spear on developing business for whatever operations I'm involved with, whether that's like selling memberships to BCAI Industry Association, whether it's selling courses for the upgrade, or, since I was 20 years old, I've been selling graphic design and websites and stuff like that. And so we're all all entrepreneurs definitely have funnels and CRMs and offers and stuff like that,
Yeah, and I think like the number one thing I hear back from anyone I coach on AI in a sales manager or salesperson is just how it's really saving time and making their job more fun, right? More fun. That's what I'm hearing all the time. Yeah, it's a fun little geeky thing to do, but like they don't have to do some of the drudgery. And really, salespeople, we need we need to be able to connect to other humans, and we can get bogged down in doing some things that aren't fun. And yes, it's a part of the job, but I've seen just people come to me and say, Claudia, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, now I do this. And you know, the best thing I've seen is definitely building lead nurturing cadences automatically and having them pop in your calendar. Because we're like lead nurturing, you know, frequency selling, it's a hard thing to keep up just in our brain, even with the good CRM, and it falls through the cracks. And people are saying, oh my God, like, you know, it scanned my email and found something, or I forgot that money was even on the table. And so
isn't it crazy with all those new connectors that these tools have, that you can connect into your Gmail or your Google Drive or your calendar, and you can be like, yo, read my emails and put those appointments into my calendar. And like all of that would have been data entry, administrative type stuff before. And I totally find freeing myself from that makes me more strategic and creative.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark's, I think Mark's leaving. Thanks, Mark. We'll see you. Looking forward to seeing you at the course.
Looking forward to seeing you soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I wanted to just also, to
get those codes up there, Peter, before people bail.
That's right. So they're up here already on the screen, that 30% off code. And, you know, we start next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. PT, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And we'd love to see you there. I wanted to just share a couple of real quotes that, again, we did not pay people to say these nice things about us. Just to clarify, right? I'm a journalist, so I like to, you know, clear the air. And I'm also a very critical thinker. We all are here, right? We all can sense a ruse when there's one being deployed, but you know, these are real testimonials from students that we've had in the past that had the privilege of coaching, and in many cases they've accomplished a lot, you know, over a pretty short time window. So we're really excited to, you know, have the opportunity to share some of their stories here briefly. But you know, Aaron, for example, came through and I think got a lot of value out of the GPTs in particular, and you know, the whole funnel, right? And that's
I loved working with Aaron. He came in thinking he wanted to use AI to find the needle in the haystack when it came to leads, and we showed him how to make infinity haystacks with infinity needles in them and then find them.
That's right. Yeah. And another one, you know, that I'll share here briefly on screen is I think, you know, a great use case. In this case, he was someone who only really had access to one tool, right? Gemini, at least that was approved from his workplace. And Eric became a Gemini ninja, truly like a master of, all of these different capabilities, right? Not only was he building gems, he was, you know, going through gems, or sort of these AI assistants that are like custom GPTs for those who aren't aware. But, you know, within the Google Suite, he was deploying them and building these incredible automations at a very sophisticated level. And
my favorite, my favorite moment with Eric. So like he was developing lots of different tools along the way. And then at one point in his coaching, I was like, he was talking about the report he had to write for his boss for the end of the week. I'm like, well, dude, you used all these tools to do all your work all week. Why don't you just cut and paste all those outputs and like, so it like took several cases that had escalated and been shipping problems inside of his company. And it just like summed up a bunch of stuff for his boss and like wrote the report at the end of the week without the report writing being an additive part of his work.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, once people start to unlock, you know, the new possibilities, it can be almost overwhelming because of how, you know, how fun it is to tinker and how many ways you could upgrade, you know, no pun intended, your different processes. Another student who came through and had a great experience is Trevor. And he's someone who, you know, I think had a pretty narrow view of AI coming into it and left with, you know, having a really firm hold on how to, with a very small team, accomplish a hell of a lot more than they were able to before. And not only that, but it was able to help leverage his skills into joining a new amazing organization. And so that's something that we love to see. And we definitely have people in between roles who come and are looking to get another certificate and LinkedIn badge, as well as, a ready to, plug in set of skills into their new role. Great. Any other sort of final thoughts here in the last couple minutes? Love to see you here.
Maureen, I noticed Maureen with logged in here or queued in, and she's actually with HeyGen. And HeyGen's a really great tool. So I'm not sure if you're still watching, Maureen, but we're users of HeyGen. I actually created an AI avatar that introduces me for my AI keynotes on stage on video, and it's an awesome way to kick off, and it's a crowd pleaser, and it scares some of the crowd as well. But it's a fantastic tool, and we're finding all kinds of cool applications in your AI upgrade for creative professional course. Peter and them actually built one that of your PR professionals actually took.
Yeah, we've got a virtual journalist one that not only like represents his face and his voice, but it has AI brains underneath it, so people can like practice their pitch to this actual dude, and then he responds back. And yeah, HeyGen's a wild tool. I've been also using it to like I dress rehearsal my big keynotes before I give them by running them through my avatar, so I get a voice and video back of my script of me giving it, so I can, because it's hard to get like cadence and timing and pauses and stuff like that if you're just reading it off a page. So by the time I've listened to myself give it a couple times, I usually give it quite the overhaul.
Yeah,
that's a very creative way to use HeyGen. Chris, I'm gonna borrow that along with the other 100 AI hacks I've already bored with you from, because that's a fantastic idea. I love it.
Well, that's all right. I borrow a lot of martial arts techniques from you, Sensei.
Oh, good. It's a great exchange, man. I love it. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah. So, Chris and I, if you're watching this and not in sales, but curious about some of, the ways that you can upgrade your skill sets and explore the world of AI. As Chris alluded to, we teach a variety of other courses for different types of professionals, right? Shane mentioned, we really view this sort of marriage of having domain expertise and AI native and sort of first mentality, as well as your lived human experience, right, and perspective and knowledge, as being a really amazing blend, right, of really where the sweet spot is.
And I would say as well that for folks who the 6-week course doesn't work for, Shane, Peter, Claudia, and I have done a lot of custom trainings and interventions for teams. Shane and I have a 1-2 punch where he's given a sales AI keynote coming up, and I'm going to lead a sales AI hackathon for their team afterwards, where we develop some tools together and stuff. So come to the 6-week course if you can. It's great. But if you want to have us come and do a workshop at your offsite or some sort of custom training, get in touch with one of us as well. And that's a part of what we offer.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Also plug, if there are folks watching from Vancouver, from British Columbia, where most of the team is based, there are some opportunities for co-funding also from, some partners at Circle Innovation and CoRise in particular. So we will, drop some of that info into the chat as well.
If you're a small or medium enterprise that meets some of British Columbia's criteria, there's up to 30% funding available through the province, and we can connect you with Loki Jorgensen from Circle Innovation to get more information about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you all for your time here. I'm going to ask one last thing. What are you most excited about for this next cohort, right? We've got one under our belts here. The pilot went really well. What are you most excited about building upon for this next one starting next week?
Claudia,
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'll go first. I kind of let the cat out of the bag earlier, but the bars dropped so low on the ability for non-technical people to do vibe coding of their ideas that we can literally just speak our web apps and websites and various things into existence powered by AI, and it unlocks a whole bunch of new stuff. So I'm looking forward to that 3rd or 4th or 5th week in this next cohort, when we start to realize that all this stuff we're doing can now be kind of brought into this vibe coding world and deployed as tools. And who knows what we're going to come up with, really.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to share more about our sales methodologies. And, you know, they're the same methodologies that work, that Shane and his father and we've been teaching for years, but just adding in how AI can augment those, and, you know, not being sales bros, right? Like being really authentic, empathetic salespeople that are thought leaders. And that's what's so important to me, you know, like doing that, but being able to augment it. So just pairing those two and talking more about the importance of being real, especially in like this new age. We need, you know, as Shane says, the human fingerprint in the beginning and at the end of every interaction.
You're here, Claudio.
I think for me, what I'm excited about is this concept of partnering with AI versus using it like a push button. But in the same stream, I'm excited about partnering with our cohort of professionals, because it's amazing what happens when we bring a group of sales professionals, innovators, leaders together. And yeah, we're guiding the process and showing tools, but I think I can speak for all of us that we were blown away at the tools that everyone created. And so as much as I and Peter and Chris and Claudia and I taught the cohort, we learned a ton from them. Yeah. And so I'm really excited to see what we all build together. And that's for me, that's what I'm excited about on sort of an over story of the whole program.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Well, thank you all for your time. Thanks for watching and, you know, spending some of your day with us. Please let us know in the comments here, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, if you have any questions for us. We'll share all the links to the tools we mentioned, and we hope to see you in our next cohort starting next week, September 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific. All right. Great to see you guys. As always, Shane, Claudia, KK already hopped off to another call.
Great to see you too, Peter. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Thank you, Claudia. Right. Looking forward to kicking this off next week.
Yep. See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
You
too.